Good evening. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees is now convened in a committee of the whole meeting on Thursday, April 4th, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center located at 10300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, for the purpose of reviewing that portion of the Monday, April 8th, 2019 regular board meeting agenda designated as action items and to hear designated reports and recognitions posted in the meeting notice as required by Texas law. No action will be taken at this meeting. I want to welcome the members of the audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we're here to set goals, listen to reports, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make the day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and to hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on CFTV Channel 16 and CFTV online on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast throughout the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that all cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. I would like to also take this opportunity to recognize our community leadership committee members who are in the audience this evening, and we have Julie Heineman here. Hello, Julie. Thank you for being here. The recognitions, board comments, and citizen participation portion of the agenda will be at our regular board meeting on Monday, April 8th, 2019. At this time, we will proceed with the written report portion of the agenda. And we start with item 4A. The administration will provide a written report on annual performance goals for programs, activities, and strategies implemented in high school allotment funds. Do we have any questions on that? Don?
Linda, because we have that as our in our board monitoring system, could you just go over what our increases were?
Mr. Ryan, this specific item is our high school allotment, as you said, and it's the first. We've had high school allotment for many, many years, but it's the very first time that the state has asked us to have some objectives in place and to be able to share that with the board. So we kind of have a baseline for that. And you're right in picking up that what we placed in here is actually right off the board monitoring system. So we just pulled information from there, as well as information from our taper report, which we've provided before in the past. So I'm going to ask Dr. Claiborne to come up and help me with this, but I'm going to start with it. So, but basically what we looked at setting in a performance objective on were the graduating percentages for our students. And as you know, from previous reports, we were very pleased that all of our main groups were at 90% or higher. And then we looked at dual credit, and then we also picked up the college and career readiness, which are some of the objectives that this report is asking for. Ashley, do you want to elaborate a little bit?
Sure, I'd be happy to give you some increases. In regard to the four-year longitudinal rate of our graduation rate, the district went up about 1%. African American went up about 2.5%. Hispanic went up about 1%. White had a very slight decline, and economically disadvantaged went up about 2%. And then in regard to the advanced course dual credit data, the district went up about 2%, African American about 2%, Hispanic about 2%, white 1%, and economically disadvantaged 3%. And then the data for the college and career and military readiness, this is the first time the state has reported these data in this way, so we don't have comparison from the previous year to the data that we provided you for 16-17, but we will have that next year.
So this will be our baseline for that.
Correct. What's in the report is the baseline.
Thank you very much. I know it doesn't seem, I know a lot of people might think, oh, 1% isn't that much, or 2% isn't that much, but when we're already in the 90th percentile, that's a pretty substantial increase.
It's a lot of kids.
Absolutely. Great job. Thank you.
And of course, anyone else? Yeah, of course, I'm glad we have this now, this benchmark, especially what I was interested in was the dual credit courses and how we're doing with each group. So we do have that we can target and know if we're improving, and so it's.
And
good,
I
good to
think
know
you're
that.
going to start seeing that even increasing more, Dr. Ogletree, as we keep adding more college academies to our campuses. We're adding all next year except 2. So in the 19-20 school year, we'll have 10 in there, and then we'll do the last 2 the following year.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you.
It'd be nice to put a, not now, in a future meeting, to put, since my wife and I have paid for several college classes, it'd be nice to put a dollar on that, on what we're actually saving, what parents are actually saving by going through that college academy, because that's an awesome program.
That's a good thought. We'll work on that, sir.
Debbie?
Dr. Macias, is Sci-Hope still paying for dual, I think it's dual classes for economically challenged students? So they have that opportunity?
Absolutely. We are very fortunate to have the support of Sci-Hope for economic disadvantaged students.
Good. Thank you.
All right, if nothing further, we'll now review the consensus action items portion of our agenda. 5A, the board will consider approving the tax refunds of $500 or greater for Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. Any questions on that? All right. 5B, the board will consider approving the minutes of the March 7, 2019 regular board meeting. Any questions? All right. We'll now review the following non-consensus action items. 6A, the board will consider approving the external auditors Weaver and Tidwell LLP to perform the annual audit of the district's financial statements for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019. Any questions of Stuart? All right.
Just to add one little tidbit of information that a lot of people might want to know. Is it 5 years? Every 5 years we do an RFQ on that, and we did one this year.
We did one this year. We're not required to do that, but we sent out RFQs and received responses from, I believe, 6 firms. Is that correct? Anyway, yeah, so this is the result of that RFQ process that we're recommending awarding this audit engagement to Weaver and Tidwell.
And will this be their first engagement with our district?
No, they have been the auditors for us over the last 5 years.
Okay, so even though they've been 5 years, we went through the process and they are still chosen?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure. All right, can we leave this, move this to consensus? All right, 6B. Board will consider approving on second reading additions, revisions or deletions to district policies. And they are CCG local, local revenue sources, ad valorem taxes, CCGA local, ad valorem taxes, exemptions and payments, CQ local technology resources. And the first one was a delete, the second one is an add, and this one is a revise. Can we move that to consensus? 6C, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and authorizing purchase orders as recommended to the posted agenda item. And they are hazardous waste disposal, instructional materials, textbooks, ebooks, workbooks, teacher materials. Can we move this to consensus? Okay. 6D, the board will consider approving an update of the district's hazardous traffic conditions resolution as required by TEA to receive supplemental transportation funding. This is for funding purposes only. No students will be affected. Any questions? Can we move this to consensus? Bless you. 6E, the board will consider approving on first reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. And they are 1, BJA local, superintendent qualifications and duties. This is a revise. And FNG local, student rights and responsibilities, student and parent complaints, grievances. This is a revise. Can we move that to consensus also? 6F, the board will consider approving the order appointing election officials for the election to be held on May 4th, 2019. Any questions? Can we move this to consensus?
Dr. O, I think that we probably will need to leave that item on non-consensus at this time because we have not received the final list of election officials at this time.
Okay.
So we are waiting on that from the county, and there's just been some delays in getting that information to meet our board meeting deadlines plus the posting. So we would probably need to leave that on non-consensus at this time.
All right. 6F on non-consensus.
What's the timeline, what's the latest that we could, if we're waiting on the county, what's the latest that we could do this?
I think we can do it on Monday. Jonathan Frells, our bond counsel, has been working to draft the order with language that would provide the board the flexibility to make some of those adjustments or corrections if things change. We did receive an update late this afternoon, but it's still really kind of in draft form, and I'll have that a more accurate list of officials for you on Monday. The same is going to be true for the next agenda item, and I'll kind of explain that when we get to that next item.
Okay.
And this next item is 6G. The board will consider approving the order ratifying and approving polling locations for the election to be held on May 4th, 2019.
On this particular agenda item, Dr. Ogletree, I'm actually going to ask after the meeting that you sign an order that Jonathan Frells has drafted, asking the president of the board to take action approving the polling locations as we know them currently, because we would like to post those tomorrow with our order. And the board does not take action until Monday. And then on Monday night, the board will sign off on the order ratifying and approving the polling locations. So there's only one order that the entire board takes action on, but Dr. Ogletree will sign an order as the president, allowing us to post those locations tomorrow.
Okay. Well, can we move this to consensus, you all? And agree that this will be a
Yes.
consensus item?
Yes.
Okay. All right, yes, consensus. 6H, the board will consider approving the district instructional material recommendation for handwriting, K through 5. Any questions of Dr. Macias? This can be moved to consensus. All right. 6I, the board will consider approving the district instructional material recommendation for language arts, 6 through 8. And this consensus? All right. 6J, the board will consider authorizing the superintendent to finalize and execute a memorandum of understanding with Sam Houston State University for the SHSU College of Education 4+1 Teach program. Consensus? All right. 6K, the board will consider approving the April 8, 2019 superintendent's contract recommendations to issue probationary term and annual contracts for the 2019-2020 school year for administrators, non-teaching professionals, paraprofessionals, and teachers. What's your pleasure? Consensus? All right. All right. We're now down to 7A, and the superintendent's briefing will take place on Monday, April the 8th. And there's nothing further on our agenda. Thank you for attending and watching. We are now adjourned.